Mad markets, the economy and the Reserve Bank, budget and the Panama Papers, stocks in focus, and why are women suspicious of financial advisors? I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard.
And we're mad about money. Okay, we've got 5 topics in 2 minutes each. The bell will ring when we'll have to change topics, but let's get on with it, Paul. The madness of these markets. Why are they so negative now?
Yeah, we've developed a very negative sentiment in the Australian market.
Yeah.
And look, it doesn't matter how what you might look at some of the figures out there, there's no enthusiasm to buy at the moment. And I think that we're seeing all the fund managers seem to be bearish. I think it's also a function of the concentrated nature of the market, Peter. If you look at the top 20 stocks, which are about 60% market cap, no one wants to own banks.
Yeah,
no one wants to
own banks, and we love the banks.
No one wants to own Wesfarmers or Woolworths because of what's going on in the grocery supermarket war.
Kind of understandable.
No one wants to own resource companies. And even Macquarie's out of favour and the CSL's had a good run. So look, if you're not looking at the top 20 stocks, you know, that's most of the market. The money's not there. So I think people are just taking advantage of thinness, lack of activity, and it's easier to sell at the moment than it is buy it.
And we've got things against us, Paul, haven't we? Like, for example, our interest rates are high compared to the rest of the world. Our dollar's high compared to the rest of the world. You know, all this stuff is not helping our market, is there? There's nothing. Turnbull has fallen from grace. Even Bill Shorten's starting to look credible. That's not good for the economy.
Yeah, look, I mean, people are talking it down still. I mean, the data this week was a bit ordinary. You know, I think
mixed.
to be mixed. Yeah, but you know, you're the glass half full guy that would say, I'd say ordinary, you'd say mixed. But
well, the thing is this: look, I was the bull on the economy, and I was right. It grew at 3%. Yeah. But what I've been seeing has made me think, the data's not great now, it's okay. And part of it, I think, is because the dollar's up. The dollar's not helping.
Dollar up is not a good sign. So, look, I mean, I think our market probably needs to test the downside of the range to sort of bounce off. We always said 5,000 to do some work here. It's going to have a go a bit lower first, I think, in the short term.
Buying opportunity, I reckon, anyway. So let's go to the economy and the Reserve Bank decision yesterday. What did you take out when you read between the lines?
Yeah, look, a little more the predictable jawboning of the currency. The dollar is
pretty
too high.
Weak jawbone.
Pretty weak jawbone.
The dollar didn't slump, did it?
Well, it is down to 75, the low 75s today. So it has come off sort of a cent over the statement and some other things. But look, I think the Reserve Bank could be doing more, and I think they could be more serious jawboning.
Yeah,
I think that'll be the start.
Why don't you say, if the dollar doesn't fall, we'll cut by 0.5%, and that will nuke you. That'd be great, wouldn't it? Imagine Glenn saying that. That'd be fantastic.
But they met of all places down in Hobart. Now, you've got to work out what's the Reserve Bank doing down in Hobart. I mean, do they sort of... Is this a place where you get a sense of what's going on in the border? Apologies to all the Tasmanians out there, or Taswegians.
Yeah, we love Tasmania, but it is kind of the retirement capital of Australia. A lot of people do retire down there. Maybe they're getting sympathetic about all the retirees who aren't benefiting from high interest rates. They should be raising interest rates.
Well, I asked the obvious question the other night. When was the last time they met in Hobart? And no one could tell me that.
No. I don't think that, I can't remember that going to Hobart, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it did not help Glenn Stevens get excited. He probably needed to go to Northern Territory to get excited.
Yeah, look, you're right. I think there's a case for serious jawboning about the currency. It is far too high. We're also in currency wars. I mean, every country in the world wants their currency lower. Yeah. Australia we can't survive with our currency going up. We need the industries dependent on lower currency like tourism and some of our export competing industries to do better. Yeah. And, you know, it's sort of back at 76 is not healthy.
And it's interesting, you know, back in the 80s when Keating was Treasurer, he actually would have been out there bagging the countries of the world who were just trying to race to the bottom. Yeah, Malcolm's too soft. Yeah. Go start bagging people.
And you look at the trade deficit result yesterday. I mean, the currency is way overdone. So it needs to get a lot done, or if you want to have the...
He needs to get mad about this.
He needs to get mad about the currency. So does Glenn. Let's see some fire from Glenn. Right?
Fire in the belly. Next topic, budget and the Panama Papers. I was listening to Jonesy on the way in, and he was making the point, these Panama Papers actually show that people are taking us for a ride tax-wise, and this could be something the budget could actually come out. Do you believe the government will ever have a crack at the big corporations that aren't paying the right tax and high net worth individuals?
Well, there seems to be a lot of pressure. The pressure is finally building. I mean, I think it's still very hard for the government, and it's very easy for the opposition to get out there and say, we'll crack down on tax evaders, and we'll add
we did when we were in power.
And we'll add $10 million. It's all been costed by the parliamentary...
$1
billion.
Yeah.
It's all been costed by the Parliamentary Budget Office. I mean, they've been saying this since Adam was a boy, right?
Who is the PBO? I don't know who the PBO
They've been saying this since Adam was a boy. Look, maybe there's a bit more public support for it, and that'll help. Look, I think we've got to embarrass some of the big multinationals, the big name brands like the Googles and the Amazons, the other people, and to pay some tax. That will be a start. Whether we can sort of, sham a few other people into it, I don't know. I mean,
sham or shame?
Shame a few others into it. I'm not sure. Yeah. I mean, the case there, the Four Corners made out a case against Wilson Parking, and who knows whether that's right or wrong, and maybe they've got some government contracts, and maybe they shouldn't have. Maybe the government's got to start to do its probity check a bit harder.
But I guess the point I want to make is, okay, let's hope they can come up with something that makes people pay their fair share of tax. But this budget, given Malcolm's party's or government's popularity is starting to wane, and Labor's in front on Newspoll, he has to come up with a great budget, doesn't he? This has to turn around sentiment, or he could be dead man.
Well, he needs to do something. I mean, they're now talking about restraint and selling a restraint message. That's always a lot harder, but let's see what he comes up with.
That really builds enthusiasm.
It does build enthusiasm.
We must live within our means. No, we've got to get the economy growing. Okay, let's talk about stocks in focus. Arium, what's the story there, Paul?
Well, I think, I couldn't check this morning when they came out with they'll come back out of a trading hold or not, but...
Who is Arium?
Well, obviously they're the old One Steel. They're the original demerger from BHP back in 2001. So if you're a BHP shareholder, you would have ended up with some what were called One Steel shares. That was essentially the old plant at Whyalla and some of the rolling steel production. So it went with that. They became Arium about 3 or 4 years ago. They diversified into iron ore, so they bought some
become miners as well.
And they're also in, I think, some other sort of related products. So the problem is that the iron ore part isn't looking very strong because obviously iron ore prices have come down.
BHP's been screwing it by moving the price down.
What they're doing at Whyala's not looking very strong because they're competing against a lot of imports, and it's a tough business.
What do you think's going to happen?
I think at the end of the day that Arium will go into receivership, right? I think at 2.2 cents, I doubt that this proposal's. This looks like a very how to describe this proposal from this American fund, but it looks like it probably won't be acceptable to the banks, and the banks will probably take security and put into receivership. That's what I guess is going to happen. Whether it'll come out of a trading halt today, not sure. I guess that they'll probably look for some more time to talk to potential new lenders.
Okay, from One Steel to still the one. Nine had a shocker yesterday.
Nine had a shocker. Third quarter trading update, disappointing. I mean, interesting enough, Peter, I got a letter from a subscriber asking, they were looking at Nine Entertainment Company as a long-term investment. I said, that's a gutsy move. I mean, this industry, is in terminal decline, notwithstanding what people like, had Harold Mitchell on the program on Monday, and he was talking up a little bit, but, my kids, your kids, they don't watch free-to-air TV. No. They watch a couple of programs.
Maybe footy
and maybe some of the reality programs.
Cricket when it doesn't rain.
But they don't go home at night and turn on free-to-air TV. They're turning on Netflix and Presto and Stan and everything else that they can get.
Threats to humanity, our kids.
It's in terminal decline. I just can't see why you would invest in it with such strong headwinds. And also, it's a high-cost business.
And because digital businesses are just taking money away from free-to-air, that's the point that
that's the point.
Harold Mitchell was making,
Nine talked about problems with the cricket and other things, but what the underlying theme is that advertising revenue in free-to-air TV is declining each year.
Yeah, and digital's up like 40% in 15 years or something.
It's a low single-digit decline. Now, the problem when you've got a declining revenue base is your costs keep going up all the time. Yeah. It becomes harder and harder to make money, and that's exactly what you're seeing at Nine. And why they were floated, allowed the capital venture part, the people who had private equity to get out of it, and why even at $1.20, I'm not sure it's a great buy still. So look, I think you invest in those things for a punt, but long-term investments, not for me, 9 or 10 or anything else, and I don't want to be a media mogul, Peter, as you can tell.
No, exactly right. Okay, Paul, the last topic we want to talk about is an interesting story I came across in CNBC, where they were saying that a lot of women are kind of suspicious of financial planners. Now, when I looked at the story, there wasn't a real lot of substance to it, but some surveys actually did show a lot of women think that...
So did you get a lot of heat on this, Peter? I mean, have you gone into that space where no one wants to go into?
Well,
You've shown some male biases that you shouldn't be showing?
Well, no, so far, financial planning buddies haven't contacted me and said, you idiot, you're ruining the business. But the reality is, I think there are aspects of this story which I thought were interesting. Is that one is that a lady by the name of Josephine Linden, who was an Australian woman who ended up being head of Goldman Sachs financial planning in America, she made the point that the best financial planners tend to be women, on her reckoning, because of two things. One is that they're better listeners than men, and two, they have more empathy. Now, the empathy issue is an interesting one because us men, we're often not great at empathy.
We're problem solvers, right?
Exactly, problem solvers.
We don't really care how you got to the problem.
Exactly.
We just want to solve it for you.
It's taken me decades to understand my wife in many ways. And the thing is this, if my wife comes to me and says, I've got a problem with this, I say, well, what you want to do is this. And women hate that kind of thing. Men want to solve the problem like that. But women want you to finesse it. Say, well, what's at the heart of the issue? How can I help you solve? That's the way. And I think financial planners often, talk to the husband, give a solution, that sort of stuff. And the woman often feels left out. Also, an interesting point was made that, and I don't think this applies to younger women, but a lot of older women didn't benefit from great education. They weren't encouraged by their parents. They didn't have academic educations. Younger women, unfortunately, are given great access. They're dominating all the best degrees. But therefore, because of a lack of education, like financial planners give them sort of very simplistic kind of financial plans, and they feel as though they're talking down to them. So I think it's something that financial planning as a group have to understand, that women are vitally important in relationships, because often the husband won't move without the wife's approval, but also there are a lot of single women out there who need financial advice but are running away from financial advice.
So I know we really struggle to find really great female financial planners.
If there's any out there that work, we'd love them.
It's a tip, get your daughters or your granddaughters to think about financial planning. It's a tip to sort of say, if you're looking for a financial planner, think about looking for a female financial planner. Is that what you're trying to say, Peter?
Well, I think
or you're just getting yourself into hot water here?
I don't get myself in hot water, but the reality is, I think it's a truism. I don't think Josephine would have made that observation, because she's not like a feminist, but she's someone who had looked at her industry and realised that sometimes we males don't actually understand our customers as well as we should. No,
and the evidence is the empathy and the understanding in terms of financial outcomes at the end of the day. You've got to be able to trust what the planner says to you, right?
Yep, without doubt.
And if you don't have that empathy and that belief in that they really understand your problem, the chances are you'll hear the stuff and go away and do what you want anyhow. So
exactly. So, Paul, I think I mentioned the war, but I think I got away with it.
Geez, you ducked out of that one, Peter. You had everyone lined up here to believe that you were going to cross that holy line.
No, that's an important point for all of us concerned. I'm Peter Switzer.
I'm Paul Rickard.
And we're kind of mad about money.